Guest tonight, Sara Chana, is going to teach us how to stay healthy the herbal way. We'll be right back. Grab your popcorn and snacks. Find a comfy spot, take a seat or lie down, and let me transport you to a place of fantasy, ghost stories, ancient legends, odd creatures, alien encounters, and other magical topics. You may even decide to join the conversation. From faraway lands to your own backyard, with a small dash of pixie dust. Turn out the lights and open your minds. The journey is about to begin. Happy Monday, everybody. How's everybody doing? I think I heard a collective moan. I know Mondays really suck, don't they? But you know what? On the bright side, it's California Haunts Monday. So on one hand, you know, Mondays suck, but on the other hand, hang on a second here. There we go. On the other hand, it's not so bad because you get to see me. You get to see me. Anyway, my name is Charlotte. I'm going to be your host for the next hour. I have a great show lined up for you. I'm also the owner of the California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team, based out of Sacramento, California. We're 45 strong up and down the state, which means if you think you have a paranormal need, we can get to you. It might take us a while because California is a huge state, but we can definitely get to you. And if you're further out of state, we do have branches of California Haunts up in Oregon, Washington State, Nevada, and even Hawaii. Imagine that, Hawaii. So if you guys have a case in Hawaii, I'll personally go, right? I just won't come back. Anyway, welcome, welcome. I just want to alert everybody, I do have a Substack now. I'm going to be doing blogs over there, so you guys can go check those out. It's going to be blogs about the paranormal and daily life of what it's like to run a paranormal team if you're a female ghost hunter. So I think you'll enjoy that. The first one up is about orbs. I do believe about orbs, and I talk about, do I think they're real? Do I think they're not real? So I go into stuff like that. I go into stuff like that with this. Okay. So yeah, so I have about 20 lined up now that I'm going to be posting. So come on over and join us over there. For you guys listening to the RSS feed of this show, just looking to see what's hanging here. For you guys, oh, I see it moved. I hate cords. For you guys looking to see the RSS, to listen to the RSS feed on this show, we will be catching up with that. Tonight will be the big catch up. I'm going to drop another 5 or 6 episodes tonight, so everything will be caught up. We'll start rolling. I've been doing I've been doing a lot of multitasking. I'm doing readings at night on TikTok from 7:30 to 10:30 p.m. Pacific, and so by the time I get off doing that, I'm really tired. So it doesn't leave much energy to post stuff and do things. But starting to re-roll with all that stuff as well. Anyway, welcome everybody. Let me get the chat up here, and let me get my group chat going. There we go. And we're going to talk with Sara. This goes, tonight's topic is something that hits really, really close to home with me. Growing up with my grandmother, who was from Mexico, I had no idea that she was an herbalist. I mean, as a kid, when you're like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, you don't realize these things, but you do see things. Like her making different teas and stuff with what I thought were flowers. With leaves with teas, right? Some of it was mint, some of it was different types of mint, different types of leaves and stuff. I never really understood the stuff until later on. My mother told me about things my grandmother would do as she was growing up, and it all made sense. That my grandmother had been a healer, and they're called curanderas, and I'm real proud of that. Real proud of that. But then after my mother passed away, and because my mother was always a person, my grandmother was always out in the yard. My mother was always out in the yard. I was never out in the yard. I was always working. I was like the modern kid, right? And so after my grandmother passed away, I spent a lot of time in my yard, obviously trying my backyard, especially trying to clean it up and tidy things up. And then I started to notice things. Yeah, I noticed there was mint surrounding my house. Mint plants. And it smelled good down there. It really smelled good out there. And then I noticed further out in the flower gardens that there was also herbs and stuff out there, which I had no clue what they were for. And in my stupidity, and this is something that I found out, this neighborhood, this area of California is well known for Norway roof rats. And in my stupidity, I cut down all the mint. I didn't take it out, but I cut it all down, and flattened it. Well, as it turns out, mint as a natural detractor for rats and mice. They don't like the smell. And so the only thing I could think of, other than she was using it for medicinal purposes, which I know she was doing that, to make tea and stuff, the other reason why she had it there surrounding the house, was to deter the vermin, to keep the vermin out of my house, right? So I started to learn things, and so I started to look around, as I was doing the yard, and I noticed these different herbal things that were back there, and then of course I bought a book to see what this stuff, what the deal was with this stuff, and then I realized that those were herbal supplements she was making for herself. So it was really cool to find that stuff out. So I wanted to find out more. My guest tonight has spent her lifetime teaching people about this stuff. And you guys, before there were doctors, before there were pills, there were Native Americans. There were people that worked with herbs instead of pills and things like that. Okay, and that's what they did. And it's sad because we don't go back to that more. Herbs more, because in the old days, that's what we did way back, before there were phones, guys, before there were cell phones and computers. You know what I mean? But I mean, way back. That's what we did as a society. Is that's how we rely on it. Like you see Little House on the Prairie, and you see the people, not only the doctor, but you see the older ladies out there that mix the witches, right? That mix that stuff up for health and whatnot. But that's what it was for. That's what that stuff was for. So I can't wait to bring Sarah on to talk with you guys about this, because, you know, not to say I'm not a doctor. Okay, I'm a journalist, but not to say that this stuff can be used consistently by itself. But now that we have all these other cool remedies, you can use it hand in hand, right? To make yourself feel better with stuff. All right. Well, I'm not the expert on this. Sarah is. Let me bring her in so she can talk to you about it. Let's learn a little bit about her background, and then we'll have this discussion. All right. Okay. Here we go. Hello.
Hi, Charlotte. I'm so honored to be on your show. Thank you very much.
I'm so excited to have you. Like I said, I mean, after learning what I did, what I found in my yard, and realizing I'm not gonna say what my grandma was, but who my grandmother really was, and what she was doing with all those herbs. When I would see her cooking stuff up and stuff, I just have been so fascinated with that all my life.
Yes. So plants grow all around us
Mhm.
in every part of the world. I don't know outer space because I haven't been up there yet, but certainly on Earth. And in every city, in every state, even if it's very populated with high rise buildings and concrete and fire escapes and automobiles, there's always herbs growing through the cracks of the concrete, which is very fascinating.
Mhm.
So, every city I've been to, one of the first things I do when I get out of the car is look up at the trees, down at the ground, and there's medicinal plants growing everywhere all the time for us. And I agree with you. Sadly, this is not part of our culture in most places of the world anymore.
Mhm. Mhm. So what got you into this?
Well, so many things, but I want to tell you to continue what I was saying
Sure.
I'm in Brooklyn, New York right now, and I was in Midtown Manhattan with one of my first herbal classes. And the woman said, I want you to open up your eyes and look around what grows. And I went over, I was really upset. A lot of people had come in from Connecticut and upstate New York and New Jersey in more rural areas. And of course, plants grew around them. And
Mhm.
she handed me a Peterson guide, which was a Peterson guide to edible plants. And I found in a 1 block radius 10 medicinal herbs growing. So I got into it. I had one of my children. I'm a mother of 7. I have 5 boys and 2 girls. And one of my children really had terrible asthma and allergies. And we went from doctor to doctor. And I was trying to be that really good mom and giving steroids and antibiotics and antihistamines. And he would get better and then get worse and get better. And I said, this is ridiculous. It doesn't seem like he's ever going to get out of this rut. And I went to a very big doctor in Long Island, cash only. And he said, this is for the rest of your child's life. And I was like, Could it be? Could it really be? So, when I was at Oxford University in England, I had spent a lot of time in the library looking at botanical medicine, but I was more like for my knowledge. And I was
Mhm.
really intimidated at first to give it to a child. And I have to tell you that slowly but surely the eczema got better, the asthma got better, and my child was able to live a normal life. Now, I'm not saying that he won't occasionally wheeze because that is
Mhm.
his genetics DNA, but and it's good to know, like, one of the things I wanted to say, Charlotte, before we began, is when you work with a knowledgeable, well-educated herbalist, we're not against Western medicine. I mean, if
Mhm.
someone falls and trips, they need stitches or they need a cast, please go to the doctor emergency room. If someone needs a CAT scan or an MRI, modern technology is really fantastic. But for so many things that Western medicine is not good at, herbal medicine really shines. So slowly but surely, my child started to get better. His illness was unraveling before my eyes. And I said, oh my gosh, there's something here. So I
Mhm.
went back to school and I did a 5 year program in classical homeopathy. And then I did a 3 year program in herbal medicine and did an apprentice program.
Mhm.
And before I knew it, I really was able to have a handle on plant based botanical medicine. And so many of our pharmaceuticals come from plant based botanical medicine. And then I opened my practice, and the rest, it was just history. Without doing PR, there were people calling,
Mhm.
knocking on the door, and they were just needing this type of knowledge.
I think there's a bit, like you say, a big need for that. I think people are sick of being handed a pill for everything. I think they've had it. They want to have more natural remedies because it's better on your body as well.
Right. Well, when you talk about a pill, I'd like to jump to an herb
Okay.
that is in capsule form, and it's cinnamon. Typical cinnamon that you have in your kitchen in clinical studies can kill E. coli, helps with salmonella. So, if any of your listeners want to and love traveling like I do, I never travel without a little Ziploc bag with some cinnamon in capsules. So if you drink water that wasn't exactly what you're used to, you eat
Mhm.
a food from a different country or even a restaurant down the street,
Mhm.
cinnamon can really reduce and help that stomach cramping, can help with diarrhea. So cinnamon, although it is a spice, is
Mhm.
considered herbal medicine. So how easy is that? I have a lot of people that were traveling to and from China, to and from India, and they just said that having cinnamon in their backpack or briefcase had saved their lives on many occasions.
I can tell you that. I remember my grand, up in the cabinets. My grandmother always had cinnamon sticks. Always. They were always up there. Never knew what they were for. I thought, well, this is dumb because you're a kid, right? You don't know any better. And I thought, well, what the heck's this for? But yeah, absolutely. Like I said, once I started looking into stuff that she had, my eyes were like saucers, and I thought, wow, that's really cool. Just like for your dogs for fleas. Oh my gosh, I don't even use standard flea stuff. It's all natural.
Well, was a woman named Juliet de Barclay Levy. Wonderfully brilliant woman in the early 1900s. And
Mhm.
she was from England and she went to school to become a veterinarian. And at
Mhm.
this time, there was no female veterinarian anywhere. She definitely broke boundaries. And after she finished her medical training, she actually went and lived with Bedouin gypsies. And she traveled around with them and she wanted to see how they took care of their livestock. And she
Mhm.
said their horses were more spectacular. They knew exactly how to take care of their hoofs, how to take care of their skin issues. And she said that even though she loved having the veterinarian medicine knowledge, she
Mhm.
saw plants would just heal the animals. So yes, and it's very interesting because I took classes with another woman that made poultices. Poultices are when you take a potato or you take parsley and you put it in a piece of cheesecloth, you put it up against a wound. And in her area, there were veterinarians, but she was called in whenever there was an injury to a cow or a goat or a sheep or a horse because they found that her plant-based medicine healed their animals even quicker than most allopathic conventional medicine.
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. So when you first started, when your eyes first started opening to all this, and you decided to go to school for it and whatnot, what was the reaction of the people around you?
Well, I was first a lactation consultant. That means I helped women with breastfeeding problems. That was my
Mhm.
first medical training.
Mhm.
So I've helped over 45,000 babies breastfeed actually for the past 30 years. Very proud to say that. And most of the women I was working with were really happy for me to give them a natural solution. I mean, again, antibiotics have their place in the world, steroids have their
Mhm.
place in the world. We don't want to deny that.
Right.
But my new moms were really happy to try some parsley if they needed that, if they were having trouble urinating, or dandelion leaf if their legs were swelling. So I
Mhm.
was able to, with very gentle plants, see how effective they were with moms. And then what happened was those moms that I helped them scientifically with the knowledge that I had, the medical knowledge, and the herbal medicine, when they started to become 2 years old and 4 years old, if they got an ear infection or got strep throat, then they would come back to me. So I ended up having at first a women's clinic and then went into pediatrics. And now everybody brings their husbands and their boyfriends. And so men do come into the practice, but it was
Mhm.
originally a woman child based practice.
Isn't it true also that lemon works for swelling as well?
Yes, and an herb called lemon balm, which is
Okay.
very easy for people to grow. Like if someone wants to start with a plant, one of the first things, as I mentioned, is cinnamon. How easy is that? You can buy it on capsules
Mhm.
now
Mhm.
online, super easy. Another herb that's really easy is an herb called lemon balm. Happens to be in the mint family. You discussed about your grandmother planting the mint around your
Yeah.
property.
Yeah.
Lemon balm, you can tell by the squared stem. Mint plants will always have a squared stem. Lemon balm is antiviral, calming and soothing. You can drink it in a tea. For kids, you can make it in ices. You can take it with most medications. Again, we're
Mhm.
not diagnosing or treating on your
Right.
show, but
Exactly.
lemon balm is an herb that is so gentle but so powerful in its ability to help with viral infections and to calm the system down. So anybody can grow lemon balm. It's one of those plants you can have on your kitchen counter, well, by the window, at least your windowsill. You can have it on your porch in your backyard, and you
Mhm.
can always begin with lemon balm. There's so many recipes available now online. You can make lemon balm syrup for your pancakes. You can make lemon balm ices, and it's a wonderful start with a plant to begin with.
That was something when I was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. The first thing I told my doctor was that my cardiologist. I said I'm changing my diet, and she says, "Well, I'll believe that when I see it." Right? I did. I did instant change. I became a vegetarian. That was my first step. But I told her, I said, I just bought this Native American cookbook, and I'm going through it. And you can approve, the recipes, but I'm going natural. I'm gonna cook like they did, and see if I can't, make the corrections on my heart. And I did. I was able to make, to bring my EF up and everything just by those kinds of supplement, herbal supplements and stuff,
Fantastic.
and working with
So
that. Yeah,
speaking about heart,
yeah.
there's a plant called hawthorn. It's a bush, and
Mhm.
hawthorn makes this beautiful berries. And hawthorn berry is specific for strengthening the heart, helping to lower the blood pressure, and it actually helps with the blood vessels in the heart. So hawthorn was a famous jelly for generations. People would take the
Mhm.
hawthorn berries, make it into a jelly. There's a company called Herbalist and Alchemist. They actually make a hawthorn paste, which people can just put on their toast, and or you can get hawthorn tea. Hawthorn is again safe with most heart medicines. Check in with
Mhm.
your doctor and local
Of course.
herbalist, of course. But hawthorn is a plant that is easy to grow. There's a traffic circle in New York where it's really, really, really congested. And it's like, we shouldn't have traffic circles in New York. It doesn't work. And right on the side of the traffic circle are these two hawthorn bushes. And I see in the spring these beautiful white flowers. And every time everyone's honking, give everybody the finger, cutting everybody off, I just kind of look to my left at these beautiful hawthorn bushes. And then when fall comes, all these gorgeous berries. So there they are in the middle of congestion,
Right.
hawthorn there. And who doesn't have high blood pressure driving in New York? I mean, it's right there for us. So that's an exciting plant.
That makes me laugh to think about that because I think of my mother. If we're sitting in the car together, it's bumper to bumper, and she sees this hawthorn, she's going to pop out the door and go grab some and then come back in the car. That's how my mom was. You
Yeah,
know,
if I didn't usually have kids in the car growing up, I would have done the same thing.
yeah.
Um, but at least I get to look at it. So if we're talking about heart,
Mhm.
there's another plant called roses. Roses grow everywhere. All rose petals are edible. I don't think I would go to your local florist because
Right.
they do put different dyes and coloring on your flowers. But every rose petal in the wild is medicinal, edible, makes a delicious tea, makes a delicious tincture, and it's for people that have a broken heart. So, someone
Oh.
that's been hurt emotionally, they lost a job, a relationship ended, they got kicked out of their house or apartment. Drinking some rose tea can help heal the heart. It actually helps with the blood vessels. Can you mix hawthorn together with rose? Yes, you can. And can you mix lemon balm with hawthorn with herbs? And the answer is yes, you can. So lemon balm is calming and soothing to the central nervous system,
Mhm.
helps with anxiety and stress. Hawthorn, if you've had any damage to the heart, or even if it just runs in your family, or you feel stressed talking to your boss or a neighbor or a family member, you can drink some hawthorn tea with lemon balm. And if you feel brokenhearted, you can add some rose. So, what I'm trying to show you is to begin working with herbs.
Mhm.
Take the single, see, learn, smell, taste, bring it into your life, and then you can start making, mixing, and making either. You can call it combinations or potions, and you literally can make your own potions for what your challenges are.
Very interesting. How do doctors? Because I know you go in and you teach this to doctors. Are they open minded about this stuff, or are they too scientific?
It's not that they're too scientific, it's just they're not exposed to it. Like if you
Mhm.
look at the curriculum of western medicine for osteopathic doctors and or medical doctors, there's no curriculum for plant-based medicines. um, in the past, I was called in, now I'm just so busy, to different medical schools to give
Mhm.
lectures. I would always start with a scientific discussion, and then
Mhm.
I would inch in my herbs and plant-based medicines, and the doctors were really actually very open to it. They were just completely not knowledgeable. So
Mhm.
I think the problem is that they just don't know, and what they know, they feel confident with. So I say that if anybody's had a success with a plant, whether it's for anxiety, stress, high blood pressure, that they need to share it with their doctors, because the doctors, most of them are willing to learn. They're just intimidated to learn.
Okay. Okay. Because I guess that's been like a lost art. Because I mean, even like going back to the 1800s, doctors were still doing that a little bit. With herbs and stuff, and then little by little, it's gotten lost over the years, right? I mean, it's like a fine art.
They were doing a lot of it in the 1800s. There were
Mhm.
more homeopathic hospitals in the United States than there were allopathic or conventional.
Mhm.
We could sit here and, I don't want to have conspiracy theory. I mean, it could be kind of how your show runs, but the truth is that pharmaceutical companies are multi-billion dollar industries.
right.
They really want, and I understand they're better business people than I am, but they want by in your late 40s that most Americans are taking 2 to 3 medications. That's how they become so rich. So they're not going to spend the research on plant-based medicine because this is a pharmaceutical run healthcare system. Now,
Right.
again, we're not against MRIs, CAT scans, X rays, like for sure not. That really helps us. And some pharmaceutical drugs do save lives.
Mhm.
But preventative, I mean, again, like you went to your doctor saying, I'm going to change my diet.
Right.
You went to your doctor saying, here, I got this, a Native American cookbook. It's very rare, happening more slowly but surely, that doctors will sit down and say, hey, by the way, how are you feeling emotionally? Have you
Mhm.
been sad lately? Have you been depressed? Maybe just if you go to a psychiatrist, but I'm talking a regular doctor. Do
Mhm.
you need to take a couple deep breaths before we check your blood pressure? By the way, what are you eating? I mean, I work a lot as a lactation consultant with new moms.
Mhm.
Doctors are not going over their diets and their food plan. They're not warning them about postpartum psychological changes that they can have. So people feel very isolated because really our medicine is best in acute. God forbid a gunshot wound or a knife wound or a car accident. Please don't call me or an herbalist. Please go to the emergency room. That's where they shine.
Mhm.
But after that car accident, the recovery should include, besides PT and OT, botanical based medicine, because then they're going to heal faster.
Interesting. I find, like I said, I find this so fascinating. That's why when I heard you on the other show, I was just beside myself. I mean, I couldn't turn anything off because I wanted, yeah, I just wanted to just take it all in.
Thank you, Charlotte. I
Is
appreciate
it
that.
is it hard, like for the book you wrote? How long did it take you to put all that together?
So I wrote a book called Moodtopia, which is
Mhm.
available on Amazon or on my website, sarachana.com. That's SARACHANA.com. And I want to share with you, and then I'm going to talk about the book, that if you go to my website, I have free handouts. Up in the right hand corner, I have a new handout on herbs for emotional health. And if you click on that, you can also click on free handouts, and I have natural first aid kits for the summer and many, many
Awesome.
handouts that people can just print, put on their desktop, print it, put it on their refrigerator. So that's at sarahana.com. So I also wrote a book called Moodtopia.
Mhm.
Moodtopia, tame your moods with herbal medications or plant-based medications. So Moodtopia is all about herbs for emotional health. How long did it take me to write? Well, a good year and a half of a lot of work. I just finished my second book on herbs for kids' emotional health because many kids are by the age 9 or 10 already on psychotropic meds. So
Mhm.
that's going to be launched soon, which I'm very excited about. So in my book, Moodtopia, I speak about um, easy ways to integrate herbal and aromatherapy, essential oil, into your life to help you feel more emotionally stable in times of chaos. Charlotte, you may not have noticed, but the world is a little upside down. It's a little crazy right now. Most people feel a little lack of control. It's very chaotic. People are feeling sad, depressed, overwhelmed, anxious, which
Mhm.
seems to be the norm right now. So I say that these plants can help hold your hand during
Mhm.
times of stress. And Moodtopia to me, what's a definition? It is a made up word, of course.
Mhm.
It means to try to be in control of your moods so your moods don't control you. So
Mhm.
there's times to be sad, there's times to be angry, there's times to be anxious, but it may not be your first day at work.
Mhm.
There are times to let go of all that rage and anger, but it may not be if you have a date with your partner and you're finally out of your house. It may not be the time to be raging. So,
Mhm.
in this book, we talk about the importance of experiencing these emotions, how beneficial it is to have these emotions, but not to be captive to these emotions, to
Mhm.
be in control of them so you can use them and express them when it's the appropriate time.
And those emotions can also affect your health, right? I mean,
Uh,
if you like, if you let them drag you, I'm not gonna say drag you into it, but I mean, if you're constantly like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, it's gonna affect stuff in your body.
Yes, 100%. So we know that used to be new knowledge, and now this is fact. Your emotions can affect you. Can get an ulcer if you can't stomach things. Your bones can start to break down if you feel you don't have the stability to
Mhm.
handle all the challenges. You can have reflux when you feel like you can't digest what's going on. So sure, there is the mind body connection. We in
Mhm.
this generation now, we think of it as norm. Of course, we know that, but that
Mhm.
is new to science and not even discussed in medical schools. So someone asked a question, have you heard of red raspberry leaf tea
Right.
for menstrual cramps? Not my favorite choice. Red raspberry tea is an astringent. It can help with stuffy noses. It can help with colds. It's a drying herb. So, red raspberry is really used post baby to bring that uterus back into place. For cramps, there's two herbs I like best. One is called cramp bark, and the other one is called black haw. And cramp bark and black haw can help with that cramping. Before a woman's cycle, make sure you have a high protein diet. Having some protein 3 times a day is important. And magnesium is deplete in our soil because we don't compost our soil enough. We're really depleted in magnesium. So most women need a magnesium supplement.
What do you think, as far as society right now, and people's attitudes about medical and stuff, what do you think is people's draws to return to more of a natural state?
Well, again, I really feel that pharmaceutical has its place. And if someone in
Hmm.
this listening audience is on a psychotropic drug, we don't want them to go off of it without the help of an herbalist. Although the
Right,
plants that I've spoken about today are safe. And someone just mentioned, what about rose hips? Yes.
right.
First in the spring, we have the rose petals. Then when it comes fall, winter, we have the rose hip, which is high in vitamin C, and you can cook with it. You can put it in your chicken. You can put it in your soups. So thank you. Rose hips are very important. But why people are going back to natural, in my opinion, is because you're going to have more independence. Like I just had a teenager in my office, and she's going overseas tomorrow. And I gave her a little herb bottle of an immune mix. It had medicinal mushrooms in it. And when you're on a 10 or 15-hour flight, you can get sick. You're breathing in the same air over and over, even though it's filtered. And a lot of people get off of these long flights not feeling well. And look, you took a 10 or 15-hour flight because you want to have a good time. So I encourage my clients to bring a little immune mix with them, take it a couple days before they travel. On the flight, they can take it, and they can take it when they land. So I like to use herbs in tincture form. So those of you that are watching, you can see that this is a tincture. Those of you that are just listening, it's an herb in grain alcohol. So herbs don't have a very long shelf life. They dry out, they discolor very quickly. So we take our plants when they're fresh or dried. Fresh is always preferred. With some plants, we do like them dried. You put it in a glass jar. So I'm holding up a glass jar. You put either grain alcohol or a glycerite. Keep it in the glass jar for 6 to 8 weeks. Then you strain it, and you have what is called a tincture. And a tincture is a liquid that's very easy to take. You have a dropper with a bottle. You can take it in a little shot glass. You can take a little shot glass, put a little grape juice in it, and you can put your herbs in it and down it very quickly. So I think people are getting more back into plant-based medicine because, like, when you travel, you can bring it with you. If you had couple nights in a row of partying too much and
Hmm.
you're not feeling well, there are herbs that can help stabilize your stomach and bring your blood sugar levels back up. So I think the reason people are liking it is because they feel a little more in control and they feel empowered about their own health.
Hmm. Hmm.
Also, one of your listeners just said it does have fewer side effects. So I just had a client in my office the other day, and she's been on Zoloft since she's 9 years old.
Hmm.
9 years old, she's on Zoloft, and she's now 22. And she said she really would like to get off of it, but every time she goes off of it, she gets a terrible headache, which is really one of the side effects of going off of Zoloft. That's a very big problem. Whereas if you take an herb called skullcap, that's the next herb we can
I
discuss.
heard of that.
Skullcap is in the mint family. Calming and soothing, can help you if you're raging, if you're just anxious and nervous and overwhelmed. Skullcap is calming and soothing. It's a little bit stronger of a plant for anxiety than lemon balm, which we discussed earlier. But if you travel out of town and you forget your skullcap, you're not having any withdrawals. And
Hmm.
my clients can have a really horrible day and take it 3 times a day on a Tuesday, forget on a Wednesday, don't need it on a Thursday. Friday, they're anxious again. They take it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday, Tuesday, they don't need it. So, one thing about herbs is use them and then stop using them. Like with an antibiotic, you have to finish the 10-day course. That's
Hmm.
not how it works with herbs.
Interesting. The other thing I was thinking, did you see an increase, in people that were interested in this stuff after COVID? After everybody was home, because I think, you know, like all the natural stuff that happened around us, like the rivers that cleared up, and people took notice because the
Yeah.
chemicals weren't in the air anymore. The cars weren't on the road. And all the animals, were happy because everything got cleared up. So did people take more notice after COVID?
I think what happened was that a lot of people, there were no medications available at the time. There was
Hmm.
really no COVID protocol at the time. So people were calling their local aromatherapist, their local herbalist, their local homeopaths. They're like, hey, I can't kick this cough. I mean, some people had no problem with COVID and other people really had trouble with COVID. So
Hmm.
there's a plant called OSHA, which is called bear root, because when the bears come out of hibernation, they go and dig up this plant OSHA and they chew on the roots. And herbalists believe it's because it opens up the lungs,
Hmm.
helps them take deeper breaths and be able to take in more oxygen. So we actually ran out of OSHA during COVID because people were taking OSHA root and they would feel like when I take OSHA, like all of a sudden my lungs just open. I'm like, wow, I didn't know I could take in so much oxygen. So people loved OSHA during COVID, and people really saw a difference, whereas their doctors at the moment did not have anything to offer.
Very interesting. The other thing I want to point out too is you were talking about roses earlier, and I remember before I got involved in knowing what was going on around my house, there used to be a TV show on PBS, and this couple would make rose salads and things like that. And I always thought it was hilarious that they'd never eaten roses, but knowing like you say, knowing what I know now, I'm more apt to add rose petals to a salad.
Yeah. So one of your listeners mentioned that belladonna was used for heart disease.
Right.
Um, in the 1500s is what she wrote. So belladonna is a poisonous plant and you have to use it with caution, by the way. But in the homeopathic version, that's when you dilute the poison many, many, many times. You pour them over little ballies, and belladonna is used for fevers and infections. So we still use today, not the belladonna itself, because it is a risk. If you know how to use it, it's a great plant. But the average person really doesn't per se know how to use it. So belladonna in homeopathic form is a great plant.
Hmm. Hmm. Don't try this at home, kids.
Yes,
Yeah.
but the homeopathic you can.
Right. Right. So, what do you think? As far as the clients that you have, what is one of the chief complaints that you see coming from people?
Everyone wants to lose weight. That's for
Okay.
sure. That's the number one. And this is years before we had Ozempic. So that's a very
Mhm.
common question. There is no magic herb for that. That I will tell you right now. Um, and I'd say the second thing is really stress. Stress is just, even if people are like trying to not be stressful. I mean, if you live in an urban area, you're not going to feel it as much. I'm an LA girl, by the way. I was born and raised I was raised in Los Angeles. So I'm a
Mhm.
California girl by nature. Relocated to New York. I'm not quite sure why. But there are certain parts in California that are calm and soothing. But I feel these days, with everything that's going on in the news, everything that's going on in our government, our environments, with all the wars that are going on, people are just exceptionally stressed out. So that's
Mhm.
a very big request I get. Like, what do I do to stress out, to not stress out as much?
What works for stress for people?
Well, you've got to eat well. Haha, try your best. You have to exercise. Yeah, if you can get off the couch. You have to sleep well. Yeah, that means you have to turn off your phone. So we know sleeping, eating, and exercising.
Right.
Um, I do like melatonin, especially for people that are over 45. The
Mhm.
studies show that if you take melatonin, again, we're not diagnosing or treating, we're just
Right. Right. Right.
discussing.
I'm just saying. Right.
Um, Melatonin can really help you get a deeper sleep, and sleep is so reparative. So there's so many herbs that I like for stress. There's an herb called rhodiola. That
Mhm.
is an herb that gives you a little bit of a boost. If someone's sensitive to caffeine, that is not the herb that they need. It doesn't work like caffeine, but rhodiola in clinical studies help reduce depression. It's really a good plant for people that get stressed and become a couch potato. They feel
Mhm.
like they can't move. So rhodiola will give that not that non-caffeine boost to get you off the couch and out doing what you need to do. And I love the plant called motherwort. Motherwort is a fantastic plant for gloominess and sadness. So if people feel down, gloomy, overwhelmed, like that black cloud is coming to descend, and you're like, no, no, please,
Mhm.
black cloud, don't come, don't envelop
Mhm.
my whole being, then motherwort can help. And I feel like motherwort and skullcap are kind of the dynamic duo. They don't really wear capes that I've seen,
Mhm.
but they're wonderful plants together. Skullcap for that anxiety, motherwort for that sadness and feeling overwhelmed. They work really well, and you can mix them in the same cup.
Are there any clients that have come to you that stick out in your head as far as, you know, how the or how this stuff has worked for them that you could share with us?
Sure. So someone just asked, what was it called? Motherwort. Motherwort, Motherwort, and skullcap, Skullcap. Skullcap, yes. So I have hundreds and hundreds of stories. Um, I know that a woman was going through a divorce, and it was something that she knew she needed to go through. But with all the lawsuits and the attorneys and all the paperwork, she felt like her heart was jumping out of her body. And she didn't even have high blood pressure, but she was sure, like, at the end of this, I'm getting high blood pressure. So she started taking hawthorn with another plant called Cactus grandiflorus.
Mhm.
And Cactus grandiflorus is a plant that was used for heart. It's in the it was in the PDF for PDF, physician desk reference. PDR for many, many, many years. And it helps with that beating of the heart. And you know what? She went through a divorce. It was not easy, for sure, not easy. And she was fine. She didn't have blood pressure at the end. So the herb was not going to change her crappy divorce, was not going to change the attorneys. What was going to happen, what the plant did was help her stay calm during stressful times. And I think that's the role of plants.
That is awesome. That's very awesome. So when somebody comes to you, what's the process? Did you have to go see a doctor, or do you look at their medical stuff and then you go from there?
So I'm a master herbalist and a
Mhm.
classically trained homeopath. So people come to me, they get an hour and a half. And in that hour and a half, if they have any blood work or any lab work, I will look at it and read it and discuss it with them.
Mhm.
I had a woman who she came into me, and they were looking at her uric acid, and I'm making up numbers now because I don't remember every
Sure.
range, but let's say uric acid levels were high from 20 to 40, totally making up a number,
Mhm.
and hers was like at 19. So I was looking through her blood work, and she said, "Oh, my doctor said everything was fine." And I was like, "Well, your uric acid's like a little too high in your system. It's like we got to watch that." And she said, "Oh my gosh, my mother suffered with gout." She said, "My mother had horrible gout." I said, "Well, welcome to genetics. You are this far away from getting it." She was so grateful because most of our doctors wait until it's in the danger zone.
Right.
But we don't need it to be in the danger zone. I have a lot of clients that come into me and they're low iron, but they're not low enough that it's like not low enough to treat, but it's
Mhm.
low enough to make them feel exhausted and lethargic and lacking energy. And they take a good herbal supplement of iron and they don't get
Mhm.
constipated and they feel so much more energetic. So I think that's really important. So you come into me and you take an hour and a half, and we're going to go over those labs. And if you don't have them, who cares? And then I take a complete history, like basically from birth to whatever age they walk in. And then I try to come up with a plan of or either herbal or homeopathic. And then we go over it. I want to make sure they can be compliant with it. And then they come back 6 to 8 weeks later and they're either much better, a little bit better, slightly better. They will
Mm-hmm.
usually see some improvement. So, someone said, can you repeat what you used for allergies and asthma? So, there is a product called freeze dried nettles. Nettles is a plant. It's in lots of people's gardens. It's got little stickers on it. If you grab the plant, it's going to burn your hand. And freeze dried nettles in clinical studies, although it doesn't last as long as Claritin,
Mm-hmm.
can reduce that allergic response. You just have to repeat the herb more often.
Okay, okay. When you said sticky, this plant was sticky, I have sticky willy in my yard. Is there any use for that at all?
I'm going to have to look that one up off the
Yeah,
top of
okay.
my head. It is not a plant that I use, but there's
I
got
think
to
it's
be
called
some use
I
for
think
it.
it's called Velcro plant too. Is the name of the
Yes,
thing? It's really irritating. It'd be nice
right,
to know that there's something useful other than just getting
right.
out there with a saw and get rid of that stuff. Um, like I said, I'm really excited about talking with you about this because this is something people should know more about. There's
Right.
just too much chemicals, and like you say, it's the pharmaceutical companies and the doctors and all this. But there's just too much chemicals going into people's bodies.
So I wanted to show you, especially because you work with the
Okay,
paranormal and
sure.
ghosts. I wanted
Yes.
for those of you that are viewing this and those of you that are not, I'll describe it. So this is a medicinal mushroom called reishi. It looks like it comes from an alien planet. And I always joke because this reishi mushroom grows on the bark of the tree. So
Hmm.
those of you that you can see it, it is not like gorgeous. It's not like roses that are so beautiful and lemon balm that's so cute
Right.
and adorable. So this reishi is a medicinal plant, and I always wonder, like, who was in the woods looking up at this big fungal growth and said, "Wow, I wonder if that's a medicinal plant." Like it's just so ugly. And I have another really ugly plant here. It looks also alien. This is called
That's
chaga. This is
wow.
chaga mushrooms, and it just grows out of a plant, out of a tree like this. And I'm wondering who also thought chaga was healing. So here it goes. These alien looking medicinal mushrooms are healing and they can help modulate the immune system. So we're not talking about magical mushrooms. That is
Hmm.
a whole nother discussion. We're
Right.
talking about medicinal mushrooms. In Asian medicine, in Chinese medicine, they've been using medicinal mushrooms for generations. The
Hmm.
rich only had access to it in the past. Now it is more common. But medicinal mushrooms are immunomodulators. If your immune system is overreacting, a little hyper, losing its mind, eczema, psoriasis, asthma, it will bring that immune system and tame it a bit. If you're getting sick all the time, you're always getting a sore throat, you're always getting a sinus infection, that means your immune system is taking a little snooze. Maybe it thinks it's
Hmm.
on a cruise somewhere, and the medicinal mushrooms will bring that up. So, medicinal mushrooms are fantastic to include in our lives.
Absolutely. What about dizziness? If someone's suffering from dizziness.
Well, we have to figure out what that dizziness is from. Is the dizziness from internal ear pressure or
Hmm.
is it from low sugar? Yeah, yeah, good, of course. Is it that's good. Is it from my assistant gave me a great plant to talk about. Is it from low blood sugar? So if
Yeah.
someone's a blood type O's need a very high protein diet. They need like 5 eggs for breakfast, salmon for lunch, steak for dinner. The more protein they take, the less dizzy they're going to feel. So
Hmm.
really it's kind of individual.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. So you just talked about some plants. I'm curious.
Yeah. So my friend said there's a wonderful plant that is so gentle and sweet. It just grows up the sides of fences, gates, other plants, and it's called cleavers. And it's
Okay.
one of the first plants that bloom, start to grow in the spring. And cleavers are wonderful for the lymphatic system. So when you breathe in a virus or bacteria, it
Mm-hmm.
needs to go through your lymphatic system, either out your urine or your stool, or you can perspire it out. So cleavers helps with the lymphatic system. It kind of pushes those viruses. It's like, okay, you're in my body. You made it past the little alveoli, the little hairs in my nose. You went past my tonsils. You got in my body. So here the cleavers will help release the bacteria or virus through the lymphatic system. It's a wonderful tea. I'm sure your grandmother used cleavers.
I'm sure.
Like if she was here today, cleavers is inexpensive, grows everywhere. It grows so wild, like nobody has to charge for it,
Mm-hmm.
because it's on everybody's front lawn. So cleavers is a wonderful plant. Thank you for that.
What do you have to say for people that are kind of on the fringe here? Hey, I'd like to try this stuff out, but I'm kind of on the fringe, thinking, it kind of scares me.
Well, then we can start simply. Anybody can have a cup of rose tea.
Uh
So
huh.
if you're going to make a medicinal cup of tea, you can't put in one tea bag. One tea bag is just flavoring the water. You've got
Right.
to put in two or three tea bags. So I bet there's not many of your listeners that haven't been hurt and feel like they have a heartache.
Uh huh.
So again, the rose is not going to take away the problem, but it can help you feel better. And lemon balm. So I think lemon balm and rose are two plants, and cleavers. You
Mm-hmm.
can drink them in tea, take them in tincture, and they're really like, I've never had anybody have a side effect to it. I mean, someone could get hives from strawberries, but
Mm-hmm.
really these are plants that have been used for generations.
What about someone that has trouble sleeping?
Oh, when we asked about the topics, the first one is weight, the second one is stress.
Yeah.
Maybe the first one's sleep. Maybe I have to re-say that. So, it's really hard with our cell phones and our white lights and blue lights and whatever lights that get
Right.
us wired. It's very hard because our brains just don't stop cycling. Like you get into bed and you start remembering what happened in the morning, in the afternoon, and what you have to do tomorrow. Very common. Obviously, deep breathing and meditating, if you can fit that in your life. But there is an herb called passion flower. And passion flower is a wonderful herb for that cycling brain, that brain that does not want to shut down. Now,
Mm-hmm.
for sleep, you cannot take an herb at like 10 minutes to 1. You needed to be in bed by 11 and you need to be up by 6:30. You can't take an herb and it's going to go boom. So if you're having trouble sleeping, it's best to take the sleeping herbs around dinner time, 2 hours later, and then again right before you go to bed. And if you wake up in the middle of the night and you have trouble falling back asleep, you can have your little shot glass with a little bit
Mm-hmm.
of grape juice with the herb in it. And in the middle of the night, don't take too much, or you're going to have to go to the bathroom. Put a splash and drink that, and go back to sleep. So that's what I say about sleep. Sleep is a hard one. If I had the cure for sleep, I would be a multi-gazillionaire and I probably wouldn't be on your show today. So that is definitely something that most people struggle with, and herbs can definitely help. I don't know that they're going to cure it completely.
What about energy?
We spoke about the
We
herb
did.
rhodiola, and
Right.
rhodiola is a good herb to help give you that energy.
Okay.
There are different ginsengs. You have to be careful with the ginsengs. They can be strong and very stimulating.
Mm-hmm.
I like Siberian ginseng, which is a very good ginseng. And there's a plant that called urethro, and that plant is also in the ginseng family. It's more mild of a boost. And that is a very popular plant. Everybody talks about it on Instagram and everywhere. And if any of your listeners would like to follow me on Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
I put up little 1 minute videos then about the plants as they grow. And that's at Sara Chana S. That's SaraChanas. And I want to tell you that I did a 10-day tour in India.
Uh-huh.
It was actually one of the highlights of my life so far. It was very fascinating. And on my Instagram, I have each day in review, and they're 1-minute videos. So if someone has been to India, they watch my videos on Instagram, they're going to say, oh my gosh, I've been there. I love that. And for those of us that have not yet been to India, although I'm one of the us that has been, you can watch it and you'll just be amazed at the culture of India. That's
That
Sara
is
Chana S.
that is awesome. So what's next for you?
Well, I've got a children's book coming out, as I discussed earlier.
Mm-hmm.
The statistic of kids on psychotropic meds
Mm-hmm.
is astounding. The numbers for ADD, ADHD, depression, sadness, when I started doing research, I was shocked. And these little teeny brains, I don't know if that's the best choice unless they're really going to hurt themselves or others around them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's coming out. I have a school called Moodtopia Academy. It's a very small monthly fee. And anybody can find that on my website, sarachana.com. And excuse me, Moodtopia Academy. We meet 2 times a month. We do one class on a topic, whether it's varicose veins or herbs for sleep or herbs for emotional health, and then we do a Q&A. So we have students from all over the world, and if you can't join us live, once you become a member, you will get the replay and you can watch it at any time. So that's sarachana.com, SARACHANA.com. You're right. Cleavers is also called sticky weed, sticky willy. So you're
There
right.
it is.
Yes, so that is it. Thank you so
Good
much,
call.
listener. Yes, I love that. And you know what? I knew that. I always tell my clients there's 8,500 homeopathic remedies. I work with between 300 and 325 different medicinal herbs. So I know the Latin names and the
Yeah.
common name, but you're right. Sticky willy or sticky weed. Yes, that is cleaver. So there it grows everywhere. You're right. Thank you. Thank you for that, listener.
I can see why it's called cleavers when you touch it too. I'll just put it that
Yes,
way. I just had to
yes,
deal with
I
it
do
today.
videos on it. You're right. I totally forgot.
Oh
Thank
my
you.
god, that's
Sleep
awesome.
deprivation. Oh my gosh. And I didn't eat enough protein today. And I didn't sleep enough last night. True confessions. But yes, thank you. You take that sticky weed and you put it on your shirt and it sticks to you. You take that sticky weed and you rip it up. Put it in a cup, make sure it's not from the ground because we don't want dog poop on it. And you put it in a cup, pour some boiling water over it, and there you go. So I think
Wow.
that's Lori. Thank you,
Thank you,
Lori.
Lori. That's awesome. That's awesome.
She's the
So
best. She's my hero of the day. She probably also wears a cape that we're not seeing right now.
that's it. She does at night too when she's my moderator over at TikTok. So
I love it.
she's
Thank
good
you,
at what she
Lori.
does.
Thank you.
Um, one last question that I ask everybody: you're standing on the strip in Las Vegas,
Oh, gosh.
and there's similar people, trying to that have little shops, right? And there's
Yes.
similar people that have shops to yours. How do you bring people into your shop?
So say that again. I'm in Vegas, which I have been to before,
Yeah,
and
and
people
there's
have
little
little
shops along
shops.
the strip, or herbalist shops along the strip. Okay,
Okay.
how do you draw people into your shop?
Oh, wow. I didn't see many herbal shops when I was in Vegas, by the way. It wasn't the top
People
thing.
need them in Vegas. Yeah.
So I would probably say heal your loss with a cup of herbal tea.
There
How's
you go.
that?
That
That would
sounds
probably
good.
be my statement.
That sounds good. Sarah, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. And again, just a reminder to your listeners, because I work really hard, because I see even in the questions, people are like, how do you spell that herb? What is that herb called? This is what happens because sometimes I give too much information. So
Right.
on my website, again, for free, you can get tons of handouts. That's sarachana.com, SARACHANA.com. And they're free. You just have to click on the link, fill out your email, and you're going to get handouts on a lot of the herbs that we spoke to today and the herbs we haven't yet gotten to.
I want to apologize for getting your name wrong in the intro. I'll make
Oh,
sure
it's such a
I
hard
do
name.
correction. But
It's
I would
Sara Chana. It's so hard. Sara is just fine. Don't even worry about it.
I would love to have you on again to talk more about this and pick your brain, because this is just so fascinating to me. And I
Sure, Charlotte.
thank
You
you
pick
so
a
much for,
date and I'll be back. Thank you so much. And thank you to all your listeners.
and thank you. You have a
Keep
great
up
rest of
your
your
great
week.
work, Charlotte. Thank you so
Bye
much.
bye. Thank
Be
you.
well.
Okay. Yeah, this stuff just absolutely fascinates me. Hey, why am I only? Hey, what happened? That wasn't supposed to happen. What's it trying to do to me? There we go. Okay. I don't know what that was. Wrong button. Sorry. Anyway, she took it well wave. Anyway, yeah, this stuff just fascinates me. Like I said, I grew up around my grandmother, and all that. Okay, so as we continue on, Wednesday, 1 o'clock, 1 p.m. Pacific, we got a guest on, Dr. Linda Selvin, who's been a frequent guest on the show, is going to be with me on Wednesday, and we're going to be talking about candle magic and some other interesting things as far as calming the atmospheres down in your houses and things like that. So she's going to be on with me Wednesday, 1 p.m. Pacific. Okay. Now, be sure to check out, and I'll start getting some addresses up for this stuff. Be sure to check out my Substack, California Hot Substack. Again, I'm going to be putting up a lot of vlogs, a lot of blogs over there and stuff, and we're going to make it more of an education site for things. And so we'll be doing that. We might be doing some special lives over there, and yeah, and come on over to TikTok in about 45 minutes. I'll be doing past, present, future readings for people that would like them. And we'll be seeing you. And if you're not on TikTok, come on over to and come on over to Clapper as well. We're going to be on TikTok and Clapper tonight, so I'm going to be broadcasting to 2 different places. So come on over and see me. And if you have a paranormal need, come on, get a hold of me for that. We are all over the web. You can't miss us. Just type in California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team, and we will pop up. We will pop up. I want to thank all my guests tonight that came into the chat room: Lori and Pamela and Marisa and JJ and Kathy, and I know there were a couple others in there. I don't want to miss anybody, but I can't see, so I can only see so much. So thank you guys for coming tonight. Come back and see us on again Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific with Dr. Linda Salvin. All right, I'll see you in about 45 minutes. For those of you, come on over to Clapper and TikTok, and we're gonna have a good time. All right, bye.